Be another 3 years before the economy
returns
to pre-pandemic levels. Scotland will also be able to borrow more money than usual to help meet the challenges. Well, let's look at the Scottish Government spending plans in more detail now with Graham Roy from the Fraser Islander Institute. Afternoon to you. And Graham, let's look at the big picture first of all and put these figures that are being forecast into context for us.
So one of the big underlying story through the budget is also the public health crisis, but also the economic crisis that we're in as well. And the numbers from the Fiscal Commission, that's the Scottish Government's independent forecaster, are really quite sobering. You mentioned the numbers on the economic impact, and to take unemployment for example, unemployment they think will peak at over 200,000 in Scotland. That's about double where it was pre-pandemic levels, and we're seeing that on the ground in terms of businesses being shut and closed, and that underlying context about the economic crisis is one of the really difficult balancing acts that the Cabinet Secretary had to deal with in the budget statement yesterday.
Yeah, because we still don't know how long the recovery will actually take.
No, we don't, and even if you go back 2 months or so, then we were thinking that actually early 2021 would be the point where the economy would start to open back up again and our economy could start to rebuild. And with the new strain of the virus really setting that back, we're now in for this economic crisis lasting for longer. And I think that you mentioned that forecast of the hit to the economy being much larger than it was in the financial crisis. That's still even a year on from when the pandemic started. So the scale of this economic crisis that we're in is much bigger than we've seen in living memory.
And the Finance Secretary here seems to be determined or convinced that now is not the right time to get extra money by raising taxes, but to borrow it instead. Do you agree with that argument?
I think it is a very sensible approach, and I think that was the one thing that came through yesterday from the Cabinet Secretary's statement, was balancing a lot of different competing objectives here. So recognising that businesses need to continue to have support, so doing what's possible on non-domestic rates, but then on personal taxation and household taxation, also recognising that for many households it's a very uncertain and challenging time at the moment, so not seeking to raise tax there, and then using whatever resources are available to try and continue to support public services and to provide that emergency support for public services to continue to get us through this crisis.
And I suppose councils will be getting more money as well, it looks like, but this will be really to deal with the impact of the pandemic, so they won't really be any better off, will they?
Yeah, it's true. There's lots of money flying around. Councils getting over £500 million additional money, but when you actually look at what they're being asked to do, a lot of this is about continued support for the COVID crisis and supporting services that are being significantly impacted by that. Additional funding, but coming with additional ties around childcare support, etc. So lots of additional spend, but it's not as though this is lots of money where governments and different agencies have got free will to spend and to use that money as they wish. This is very much about targeted support at helping people through the crisis.
And to what extent do you think will the extra money for Scotland, how much impact, do we know how much effect that might have on the health service or on education?
There's two parts to the additional money that we know is coming through, largely through Barnett consequentials. The additional things the Scottish Government is doing through borrowing and using its reserves, but the main money is coming through additional consequentials from the UK Government. So there's a chunk of money which is just core additional uplift to the block grant, around about 1.2 billion, and on top of that there's additional COVID emergency funding of about 1.3, but that is going on, as you mentioned, immediate response to things like supporting the health crisis and making sure it can deliver through the immediate challenges. The one thing we don't know is whether more support will be coming. I think our expectation is that there will be more support coming through from announcements that the UK Government will make, but we need to wait until March when the Chancellor sets out his budget before we actually get the detail on just how much additional support is coming.
And just finally, do we know whether, you know, the rise in unemployment that we can see forecast here, will that hit one particular part of the workforce more than another?
One of the things that we've seen in this, the data so far, is significant variation between sectors. Also seeing some significant variations by geography as well, so different parts of the country having a greater impact than others. But it's sectors that have been forced to really close down in a significant way. So things like hospitality, traditional retail, they're the ones that have been impacted the greatest. They're also the ones that we've seen the most significant support. But it's likely that it will be those types of jobs that will be under the greatest pressure once the economy starts.
Daddy, let me have up. Yes. Shut off. Shut off. What's that? Ready for?
No, for you. It's me.
Why for that? Then what's that? Daddy. Come on. Then what's that?
It's a shower screen.
Why did you shower doing?
So Daddy can have a shower.
Oh, now can I have it, Mom? Have it me? I have shower.
Hey,
I have shower times. Then it must be on my day. Got all fault, Daddy. I put my dog up there. Go. So, it's my what I don't know. Okay. Me. Look at my arm. In my room. Sit down. Mira. Who knows this? I am my room got rid of the falls.
Don't worry about your spelling mistakes when you do this writing on the whiteboard.
Right, shush! Right, my first question. Should we go easy first?
Just give me a warm-up one. Alright.
Warm up. We have dinner tomorrow, I think. That is soccer. On Nintendo dresses.
Okay, here's my first question. What is my favourite colour?
Oh, I don't like it, Rebecca.
Colour, you might have changed it. I'm going to go with...
So they're going to write the ads on the whiteboard and...
I think you might have changed it a little bit. I'm going to... Look at my letter P. It's been a bit of a...
Ooh!
Oh!
Ooh!
Oh! Oh!
I've already wrote mine. My pen's...
Alright, okay.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, let's go. Pink.
You both got pink?
Yes?
Correct! Thank you! That's 1 point.
Point each. Alright. Let's go, see. Fire away.
Rebecca, also, I reckon I have fun with Ian already. Watson, my ones.
I can remember Tiana wearing Jordan's trainers when Jordan was about 9.
Look, guys, I'm trying to show you that
You created a... That's big.
Okay, bye, citizens.
Okay.
Bye.
3, 2,